So good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this course, a 3 month certificate course on patenting in herbal, AYUSH, and nutraceutical products. This is the first session. I'll call this as a orientation session for the course. Reason being, we are not going to discuss anything technical today. Rather, I would be giving you a summary of what we'll be doing in next 3 months, how the modules are structured, and the significance of course, as well as how we would be actually conducting the exam or any other questions that you would be actually having, in case of the specific course, basically. Of course, Janvi would be there to resolve all your queries. She is also there in the WhatsApp group as such for this specific course. Since this is a orientation session for the course, what I'll uh, do is I'll take you through the entire agenda as well as the content of course actually and the intent behind this specific course. So it was during COVID time in the year 2020 that we did a course on herbal patenting that was in collaboration with Dr. K.M. Kundnani College of Pharmacy. Uh, it was a 15 hours course so again, it was a course for herbal patenting. That was the first time we tried to come up with a herbal patenting course as such. What we have seen as such in last few years, post COVID specifically, is that the research interest in the local indigenous medicine systems, like what we call as a Ayush, that is Ayurveda, yoga and naturopathy, Unani, Siddha and homeopathy have been increased actually because of the I would say awareness about immunity as such, as well as because of the interests in these areas which are with respect to the cost efficiency basically. Now, once the research interests are increased, of course, there were a lot of instances post COVID or even during those COVID years that we used to get lot of queries about patenting in this specific domain as such. And over a period of time, we realized that there are a lot of misconceptions about the patent protection in for these products. And of course, there are reasons for that as such. Like most of the people uh, feel that the traditional knowledge, because some part of traditional knowledge is always involved into the Ayush system or the herbal system, or I would say the nutraceutical products as such. Now, since these misconceptions are there, there have been a lot of resistance with respect to the patent practice or for the patent practitioners about getting I would say, about getting the IP protected for these specific products or technologies or processes. Now, we as a firm have been operating in this domain, and rather we have created I would say a niche in terms of patenting of the herbal products, nutraceutical products, or the Ayush products as such. How it is done, what are the I would say, what are the unique things that make these products patentable, as well as what are those misconceptions and what are those I would say precautions that you need to take so that we can get these products patented as such. So with this intent, actually we have started with this 3 months certificate course, which is almost of 30 hours, which would include multiple modules. The course would be run through Zoom. We would have sessions Sundays 3 p.m. onwards. And if we have sessions on weekdays, it would be 9 to 10 p.m. on Wednesdays and Thursdays, only in case if we have any external faculty as such. Otherwise, all these sessions would be on Sundays, 3 p.m. onwards. We would be recording all the sessions. We would be providing those recordings to all the participants through the login. Okay. And you can access those recordings at any point of time till the course is over, basically. Now, beyond this, at the end of the course, we would have a 100-mark exam, which would be online exam, multiple choice question based examination. Once you clear this exam, so there would be a specific slot given to you on that day, on a Sunday. You would have to appear for the online exam, and then based on that exam, those who qualify the exam, they would be getting a certificate for this specific course. The certificate is by Pharma Literati and Patlex Business Solutions as such. Now, coming back to the contents of the course, as I mentioned, we are focusing on the herbal, AYUSH, and nutraceutical products, the research that is happening therein, the thrust areas wherein the actual ground level research is happening, and the misconceptions about patenting, and how can we actually patent these products as such. Beyond that, compared to the last course that we did in 2020, we have come up with newer modules or additional, I would say, the value that would be created for the participants is with respect to the patent enforcement, patent commercialization, licensing, and technology transfer. That is TTOs, actually, the technology transfer offices. These parts also we are going to cover. The basic modules, of course, we'll be discussing right now. The contents, basically, everything related to patents. But then the focus, as I mentioned, would be only with respect to herbal, AYUSH systems, and nutraceutical products. Over last 4 or 5 years, once we conducted that previous batch, which was for herbal patenting, there have been a lot of changes in terms of the patenting system in India, firstly. Secondly, as far as our firm, Patlex Business Solution, is concerned, the understanding of the patent domain for the firm has also been, I would say, increased many folds. When we did the first batch, that point of time, we had just 2 or 3 patents granted. Now we have almost 85 patents granted as a firm. Most of them, again, coming from this specific domain of herbal, AYUSH, nutraceutical products as such. Beyond this, the number of patent filings, I just was discussing with Advocate Sunir, who is a practitioner, a patent practitioner from Calicut, Kerala. What we have seen over a period of time is there has been increase in patent filing because of the awareness campaigns that are run by various agencies, including the NIPM, the Patent Office, or a lot of government agencies as such. Also, especially from the academic perspective, the patent filing numbers have been increasing, or there has been awareness due to the maybe the NIRF rankings or the accreditations like NAC or NBA, and the numbers are increasing as such. The IP ecosystem in India has become more robust, I would say, compared to 2020. Of course, there are a longer there are a lot of things which can still be improved, but the patent ecosystem specifically with respect to the lab till patent getting granted has been really, I would say, has really grown in last few years. This is also visible from the very fact that me operating from Latur, a small town in Maharashtra, or Sunil operating from Calicut in other corner of India, that is Kerala actually. Now, uh, as we saw post-COVID, there have been increased awareness or focus on the AYUSH system as well as the immunity booster kind of products. We saw a lot of increase in terms of the patent filings in this specific domain. Even the patent office, the Indian Patent Office, has released now a draft guidelines for the first time for the purpose of processing patent application related to the AYUSH systems as such. Now, this is, I would say, a major step because as a practitioner, I understand there are a lot of challenges and there is not, I would say, much of, I would say, streamlining of the process at the patent office in terms of, especially for certain sections that we'll be discussing in detail, like the 3D, 3E, 3I, 3J, and 3P, basically. But then these guidelines, of course, it's in a draft stage right now. It would be finalized very soon, and it would be coming in, it would be applicable, or it would be in practice as well very soon as such. But when I went through these guidelines, more or less, these are the fundamental aspects of patenting system that we have been teaching to my teammates, those who are getting trained in my company, or to during the patent agent training programs that we do for the patent agent aspirants as well. So more or less everything with respect to those specific aspects of section 3 are the ones the same have been incorporated in the draft guidelines which have been actually included in the guidelines which are issued by the Indian Patent Office as such. So the Patent Office coming up with draft guidelines itself signifies the patenting in these inventions specifically and the procedural aspects of the same answer. This specific course, the 30 hours, 3-month course, we have structured it in such a way that it is meant for researchers. So there would be a value addition for researchers. There would be a value addition for students there or faculty members or academicians. There would definitely be a value addition for those who are practicing or those who are patent agents as well. We are also we have tried to structure it in a way that it is also going to help or add value to business professionals or small firms which are actually looking for either technology in licensing or technology commercialization as well. As far as these areas are concerned, one of the biggest challenges has been the standardization of the systems basically. And standardization works more scientifically actually. But then these standardizations are also gonna help you in terms of getting a proper patent as well. Rather, most of the herbal patents or the patents in this specific domain, the one of the major criterias which we say is uh, obviousness or inventive step. The standardization part works as an inventive step for those specific technologies or products as such. Also, as I mentioned, the end goal of the course is to create awareness as well as give a holistic overview of the, I would say, the Indian patent ecosystem, as well as like a kind of a brainstorming about the guidelines that the Indian Patent Office has released for the AYUSH systems as such. As the brochure of the course is already in the public domain, we'll be doing it through online mode through Zoom as such. Anyone can actually join for the course. The industry professional, researchers, faculty members, and students as such. You can either scan the QR code to join for the course. Of course, most of you have already joined. I mean, those who are here in the session, they have joined for the course already as such. Now, coming back to the contents, we have structured the course contents in four separate modules. Let's call them modules, wherein we'll be covering them in the next 14 sessions and 2 hours for exam. That's how we are having this as a 30 hours course as such. Of course, there is a WhatsApp group to support you. We have patent agents or experts as well who would be supporting you to understand the system. Let me go through these modules and the contents basically of the specific course, this specific course as such. As I said, the major objective of the course is to focus on those misconceptions about patenting in traditional therapy areas as such, including the Ayush, the Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani, and homeopathy kind of medicine. Now, I remember when I started my career 20 years back with a pharmaceutical company, that point of time, one of the, in the early years itself, there's a major discussion in all the forums about the patent about haldi actually, right? So the kurkuma longa actually, right? Now, and that has created such an impact on the mainstream media as well as the practitioners that everyone thinks that the if you are using anything from the herbal origin or natural origin, you cannot get a patent out of it as such. However, that's a misconception. And of course, in most of the sessions that I carry out, in those I have repeated this. The getting a patent for haldi itself or kurkuma longa is not possible under the Indian patent system as such because of the traditional knowledge. However, if you formulate or use that haldi or kurkuma longa in a typical end product, it can be as simple as a solution, a dispersion, a injection, a syrup, let's say, a tablet, a capsule. In that case, it can still be patented provided the inventions are novel and have inventive step. What do you mean by novelty? What do you mean by inventive step? That we'll be seeing in the sessions as such. So we'll be actually busting all those myths about patenting in traditional therapy areas as such. And this is gonna help you give a direction to even your clients actually. Or of course, if you are a researcher, you can get a direction about how should you actually frame your research, or how should you actually have a proper direction to your research. For the patent practitioner, this course is gonna help you give a direction to your clients. What should they focus on? What are those things which you should avoid during, let us say, patent searching, the patentability analysis, the patent drafting, the patent drafting, the patent prosecution, as well as commercialization as such. The second objective of the course definitely is, as I discussed, is about the guidelines that have come up actually, and the guidelines are in very much detail, discussing with live examples what are those guidelines for the Ayush system of medicine, that we would be covering in detail with live examples that have been included in the guidelines. Along with that, we would have one positive example based just something similar to those guidelines. So for example, let us think of section 3E, which doesn't allow you patent for a combination of, I would say, two herbs. Now, along with the guidelines about section 3, we would have one live case, which would be for the combination wherein the patent is granted, overcoming section 3. And second case, the patent is rejected or refused based on section 3E as such. So those we would be discussing in detail in one of the modules as such. Next objective is about the National Biodiversity Authority. There have been a lot of changes in the I would say the NBA basically in last few years. I remember a few months back, just before the exam, telling my students, the patent agent exam, telling my students that the form at NBA is Form 3 to be filed for getting a approval for patent filing. Now the form has been changed to Form 8 since 2025. We are filing Form 8 now. The form is somewhat similar, but then there were earlier requirements about NBA which were very much different compared to what we have today in March 2025. Beyond this, of course, we would have live demonstrations of patent e-filing and National Biodiversity Authority e-filing as such, how it is done, what are the procedural matters actually, as well as the entire cycle of NBA e-filing till getting that certificate of registration for NBA, and for patent, it would be e-filing, electronic filing of the patent application till the grant of the patent application. How we have structured the courses in 4 separate modules. Module 1, herein in module 1, we won't be discussing anything about patent. Rather, what we would have is uh, uh, idea about the different research domains in each of these fields, which is herbal, Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani, and homeopathy actually. What kind of research is happening? Where is the focus being shifted as such? we would also have some research experts who are working in these specific domains. What we have also tried to have in this module one is a specific session for nutraceuticals, how they are different from the pharmaceuticals or the medicines actually. What are those differences? What kind of I would say what kind of studies are being required, or what kind of I would say the licenses that you require for nutraceuticals compared to the medicinal products ads. Beyond patenting, one of the intents of this specific course is also to let you actually know that how these products are registered with the FDA as such. Now, the one of the challenges that has been in this specific domain, in between I get I would say calls from the agents or practitioner or even clients that okay, is there any way we can help them with respect to registering these products as such? What is the costing involved in that? And what are the primary requisites for registering these products? What kind of infrastructure do we need basically? And of course, the licensing procedures may be to the DCGI or the FSSAI basically. Those things we would try to cover in module one, the session for which we would be actually having on the next Sunday, that is 23rd of March, basically. Now, coming to module 2 is about basics. This is more meant for, I would say, this is more meant for the scientists, to some extent to the patent experts, but on those who have not been involved into all these activities, because in the patent stream, we have analytics, we have drafting, we have FTO, we have prosecution, we have licensing. There are n number of things. And unfortunately, an expert in one domain only knows that domain basically. So, for example, when I tell my team actually to have a FTO, that is freedom to operate, they are not exposed to this. Compared to that, when I actually speak about any of the corporate IP professionals, and when I ask them about the drafting, they don't know it. Reason being, they have never been exposed to that. They have never been exposed to the patent prosecution as well. Right? Now, so we would have in module 2 different lectures, different sessions, which is meant for providing you an overview of patent as a field basically. Patent searching, when we say this, what do you mean by Boolean searches, how to do the searches, what are the types of searches, patent searches, because patentability searches, invalidation searches, and FTOs, freedom to operate searches, are outrightly different. Need to understand the differences at side. One of the major challenges with the patent ecosystem has been with respect to the patent drafting as such. You understand the invention as a scientist, you know it better, but then unfortunately, we do not get the drafting expert. Drafting, as someone has said, is patent drafting is an art to put the science in a legal manner actually. And so, is it necessary to be legal expert in that case? Not really, because patent agents are the ones who are involved into drafting actually. Like again, give the same example of Advocate Sunir or Rajita or Praveenji, those who are involved into, let's say, practicing. we understand the technology, one specific technology, or let us say we can understand simple mechanical inventions. But when it comes to really complex inventions in, let us say, electronics or automobile engineering, we may not be in a position to understand, right? So in those cases, the drafting expertise is always dependent on your technical expertise that you have. And herein, again, with be it searching or drafting or FTO, the focus would be again on these herbal, AYUSH, and nutraceutical products. How do you actually draft? What should be the specific care that you need to take while drafting a patent application in these domains? How can have you have to draft a smart claim such that the application also goes through the entire prosecution and gets granted as well. The entire patent prosecution part, how to overcome the major challenges that we have, that we'll be seeing what are those challenges in next module as well. Beyond this, we would have a brief session on global patenting systems, the PCT, and the Paris Convention Treaty. Just an overview, actually, how you file globally, how what are the two challenges, and or how you should strategize. Under what circumstances you should use the PCT, the Paris Convention Treaty, and only at filing at the Indian Patent Office. Uh, Most of the business owners, or I would say the manufacturers, the MSMEs, the startups who are working in these domain of the herbal or Nutra or Ayush systems of medicines, therein may not be involved into research. Rather, they are involved into FTOs. Now, FTOs are mandatory for them. In typical corporate language, we call this as infringement analysis, the freedom to operate. That is, if I am not doing research, is there anyone else whose research I am using while commercializing my product? That's what we call as freedom to operate. And in module 2, we'll be actually discussing about FTOs, how to prepare a FTO report, as well as how to do searching for FTOs that we are going to see. Now, as far as the FTOs, the freedom to operate is concerned, the major or the fundamental requirement generally, unlike patent searching or drafting, is FTOs are jurisdiction specific. That means one product you can launch in India, but at the same time, you cannot launch, let us say, in Canada, because there exists a patent in Canada for that particular product. How this works, how the family works, the patent family works, that also we'll try to see in module 2, basically. Module 3 is the one wherein this is the new one, uh, which we are, uh, which is more post grant of actually the invention. Rather, Pharma Literati has also come up with the Pharma Innovation Yatra 2.0, wherein we are conducting offline session at various institutions and universities about about IP valuation, patent valuation, technology transfer, and licensing. In this specific module, module 3, we would be learning the patent valuation, cost approach. So there are various, just something similar to what's the value of this phone, iPhone 12. Was the value, like yesterday there was a news that, okay, the gold crossed 91,000 rupees for 10 gram actually. how are you going to evaluate patent? What are those methods? So there are multiple methods like cost-based approach, the income-based approach, and comparable approach. Based on these approaches, we are going to see live cases of patent valuation, how it is actually done, and under what circumstances, what kind of valuation method need to be used for valuating patent. Let me tell you an interesting thing. The patent valuation also, just like you do the searches, patent searches, like, you do it for invalidity, you do it for patentability, you do it for FTOs. Similarly, the valuation can be done at merger acquisition, it can be done for licensing. It can also be done at the time of selling your company, basically, or even for mortgage purpose. These patent valuation techniques are the ones which we need to understand as a not only as an IP practitioner, but also as a scientist and businessman as well. Just to give an insight about what is the value of the research or the IP that is generated. Now, valuation of trademark is comparatively easier. Patent valuation is comparatively a complex field. This involves the technical, the legal, as well as the commercial or the financial aspects, basically. So that's about patent valuation. We'll be actually going through this in detail with some live case studies for in the module 3. This module also has specific, I would say, session on technology transfer and licensing, which is also which like so we can have, so it can be different types of licensing, cross licensing, exclusive licensing, non-exclusive licensing, voluntary licensing. Of course, we are not going to cover compulsory licensing, which is part of the patent system, basically, but the technology transfer and licensing, how a licensing agreement has to be drafted, what should be the precautions, what are those challenges, basically, in terms of tech transfer and licensing, that also we are going to see in this specific course. Finally, in module 3, we would be actually seeing the commercialization challenges for any company or a scientist, especially in the domain of herbal research, AYUSH, and the nutraceutical products. I have some nutraceutical clients or the professors who are working in this specific domain. We'll be calling them for certain sessions as well, just to understand the complexities of these inventions as well as the challenges that are for the commercialization purpose. Last module, which is more of an advanced one. Herein, we would be discussing in detail about the National Biodiversity Authority, NBA. Now, NBA is the one authority. You need a permission from National Biodiversity Authority before filing a patent or getting a IP granted. There have been a lot of changes in the NBA system, as I discussed initially. We'll see those changes. What are those changes? What is the intent? Why do we need an NBA approval, basically? That also we are going to see in detail. In this module, we would also discuss about TKDL, which is a traditional knowledge digital library. What is TK? What is TKDL? How is it impacting the global patent ecosystem, actually, the TKDL? That we'll also try to see as such in this, I would say, in this specific module as such. So few days back, so what is basically TKDL and how it impacts? So few days back, I had access to this specific file, which is Pharmacopoeia of a Siddha Medicine. This is published in 1956. Rather, this at that point of time, the price was rupees 3. This was published by Madras State Indian Medical Practitioners Cooperative Pharmacy and Stores, Adiyar, Madras, what we call is Chennai today, right? Now, this system gives you a lot of products in this specific domain as well as the details thereof. Now, this is something which is TK, traditional knowledge, digital library, how a specific product is prepared, how these things are. So, rather, if you look at this, it gives, so the names are different. Probably you are calling it haldi, the TK would call it haldi, but we would call it kurkuma longa. That's the only difference actually that we have. Now, the TKDL with respect to Siddha, Unani, Ayurvedic systems, these all contents are in different languages, how they have been cited actually, and how it actually impacts the patentability. That also we are going to see in module 4 of this specific course. And finally, for the practitioner, section 3D, which excludes the patentabilities, section 3D, 3E, 3I, 3J, 3P. Those of you who are practicing understand these sections really well. We are also going to discuss how the patent office has provided the guidelines actually to overcome these sections. What kind of data is required as per those guidelines, and with live examples, one with the guidelines, one as a positive case study of section 3D, how we overcame section 3D to get a patent granted in herbal domain, and second, how we could not use any ground, because why the patent was refused under section 3D in the herbal domain. The similarly about section 3E, 3I, 3J, and 3P, all these sections we would be actually discussing in detail with respect to the herbal, nutraceutical, and AYUSH system of medicine answers. So this is how we would be taking you through the entire course in next 3 months. We would target to finish the course by June end with the exam as such.